Hi everyone, welcome back to another Christian Reader 777 YouTube video. Many of you know of the iconic temple in Jerusalem that has fascinated the world, the temple where God dwelt. But few know that there were a plethora of other Yahwist temples with more legitimate priesthoods and greater ritual purity. This is a scandal like none other. The temple in Jerusalem was one of 5 simultaneously existing Yahwist temples. So just what were these temples, and how did they come to be? Let's start with the temple in Elephantine. Our records indicate that it was destroyed, then rebuilt under Persian rulership. Our main source on this topic is preserved in correspondence between the leaders at Elephantine and Jerusalem and Samaria regarding the rebuilding of the temple at Elephantine. The Jews in Elephantine, according to their letters, performed burnt offerings, meal offerings, and burned incense to God Most High, who they call Yahu, which is the name they seem to use for Yahweh. Oddly enough, the Jews in Elephantine respected the authority of both the Jews in Jerusalem and the Samaritan authorities, both of which authorized them to continue sacrifices and the burning of incense after the rebuilding of their Elephantine-based temple. This temple came to be as a result of an Israelitish military colony. It was abandoned in the 4th century, according to some scholars, after an outbreak of anti-Semitism among local Gentiles. Next is the Temple of Onias, just upstream from the Yahwist Temple of Elephantine. It was founded by a priest, a high priest of all things, who was ousted from his office by ungodly Hellenistic forces who were not of Aaronic descent. They put in a priest who was not of Aaronic descent, named Alchemist. As a descendant of Aaron, Onias had the right to perform the sacrifices. He was a legitimate priest. His temple, on the other hand, was a political stunt and an attempt to preserve his authority, according to Josephus. Josephus remarks that he found Jews, priests, and Levites all available to help him run the temple. Shockingly, some rabbinic sources take a positive or neutral stance of the priesthood of Onias, asserting that those of his priesthood maintained amicability with the Jerusalem priesthood and were even allowed to eat the food offered on the altar in Jerusalem. This only deepens the shock. A more legitimate priesthood than that of the Jerusalem temple ran the temple of Onias in Egypt for years. Wow. According to Josephus, the temple of Onias was destroyed after the local Jews took in a few hundred Sicarii, who had just come from Masada about 73 CE. The Sicarii, being as trouble-causing as they were, caused a wave of persecution against themselves and other Jewish philosophies in Egypt, leading to the destruction of the Temple of Onias. The next temple is that of the Samaritans. Their temple on Mount Gerizim was rebuilt and destroyed multiple times throughout the centuries. Of all the non-Jerusalem Yahwist, Yahweh-worshipping temples from the Second Temple period, this is the only one where sacrifices are still performed today. The Samaritans, while Yahwist and claim, are noted in the Hebrew Bible as being imported pagans. The text states, the king of Assyria brought people from Babylon, Cutha, Ava, Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, ancient nations of the Middle East, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. These people did not fear the Lord at the beginning of their dwelling there. Therefore the Lord sent lions among them. There's a slight problem with that. The lions started killing people. To remedy the lions killing people, the king of Assyria commanded, saying, send one of the priests you brought from there. Let him go and dwell there, and let him teach them the rituals of the God of the land. Then one of the priests they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt at Bethel, and taught them how they should fear the Lord. However, every nation continued to make gods of its own, and put them in the shrines on the high places, which the Samaritans had made. Skipping down a few verses, they feared the Lord, yet served their own gods. Furthermore, the fact that they appointed priests from every class, or, in other words, they made anyone a priest no matter what their background, completely delegitimized their priesthood. So this temple kind of counts as Yahwist, although it's not Israelitish. The fourth and final temple I will talk about today is the temple complex at Qumran. While Josephus attests to the fact that the Essenes did respect Jerusalem in some matters, they also, according to some archaeologists, had an incense altar at Qumran as well as bone piles that may indicate sacrifices, although experts are divided on the exact nature of the religious rituals performed at Qumran. We do know, however, that they had high-use ritual baths for purification and ritual washing. Archaeologists claim Qumran was abandoned after its destruction in 69 CE. Very little can be said with certainty about the Qumran temple, except what archaeology tells us, coupled with ancient writers, which is to say we can't be certain of the extent of this temple's use, nor its interaction with Jerusalem and its temple. Hi, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my latest video on the forgotten temples of the Second Temple period Yahwism.